Hello, I'm Tom Hollingsworth, and welcome to Networking Field Day. We are here in Palo Alto, California, with our friends from Apstra. We are going to be listening in about their new product and solution, and we have around the table a group of Networking Field Day delegates. They represent the best and brightest podcasters, speakers, writers, and influencers in the community. They are going to be asking questions, making comments, and offering their opinions as part of an invited panel. If you would like to learn more about this event, including how to become one of these delegates or a presenter, please go to our website at techfieldday.com. You can also find more videos like this about a variety of technical subjects at our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/techfieldday.
Today, and I was watching you guys, watching your tweets on the hashtag, and there was a couple comments, more than a couple comments made about this company's automating our job away, and we think that that's not realistic at this point in time to make that assessment. It's really, really hard to completely automate the network. There's just too many variables. So our approach here is to augment the network engineer as much as possible. This is for network engineers, by network engineers. Where all the things we're trying to show you and the things I've been sort of ranting about are things that are annoying and tedious and error prone that you shouldn't have to do. Like, why are you still doing that now? Why are we still doing that now? And we're trying to augment you rather than automate you away, because that's not, the second thing is just not realistic.
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate. When I started this journey into network awesomeness, some of the early DevOps thought leaders approached me. Some of the guys that did the original Puppet and Chef work, and they said, "Hey, you're starting this journey in networking, and you're going to go through the exact same psychological drama that we went through." They went through the same thing. Sysadmins that were artisanally handcrafting web servers and logging in and doing that thing. They all thought they were going to lose their jobs because Puppet and Chef would automate their jobs away. And in reality, DevOps engineers, and that's what they're being called. I mean, there's such a demand for those types of people that it's insane. So really, it's about enabling and empowering our generation to do things that we never thought possible, like fly and shoot monsters and have a cable map without a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you a little sneak peek. This is only a minute 30 seconds about our 1.1 release, which is really kind of right around the corner. I'm really excited about it. One of which is more of this insight and telemetry and the situational awareness. So that topology picture that I showed you that was just like 4 green blobs has gotten really, really cool. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to move this over here. So when you click on a node now, the situational awareness is really like on the side right there for you. It's like literally right there. It's sort of like, I want to click on that. Oh, I want to see what that thing is. Oh, I want to see what's information about that device. It's like literally one click away. This is, these usability features really make a big difference to a lot of people because, they want to get to the information. They know it's there. They just don't want to have to click 7 things to get to it. And same with the telemetry. So, we know something's wrong. We know exactly what we need to click on. It takes us right to the information. And like right away, we can see this BGP session is down. It's just right off the topology page. I think it's pretty cool. One of the other new pieces of insight that we're showing, I talked about the fact that we check the routing table. Well, here we're actually exposing all of that data, so you can see the routing expectations that we have. We're showing you, well, we expect 1 next hop. This has 3 next hops. We can show you the errors that are occurring. I think that's pretty cool. And then the next thing that we wanted to show you is another design automation capability. We showed you the maximum-based or the server-based design automation. We've now implemented a rack-based design because there's people who want to design by a standardized rack and they just want to kind of punch out rack by rack by rack by rack. So we've created another kind of construct that allows you to define racks. So when you define a rack, you can say exactly how many switches are in that rack. Again, the type of abstractive device that you want. So in this case, this rack is going to contain 2 leaf switches. They are 48 ports of 10 gig and 6 ports of 40 gig. And here you can be very prescriptive. We're doing MLAG. We have 4 ports of 10 gig for the link-to-link information. And then how many links do we want to explicitly say between the leaf and spine? And then for the servers that are attaching, I'm going to move this over here now. For the servers, we can define, well, what do we want about the servers? In this case, we support dual attached servers. So you have 2 ports of 10 gig. How many servers do you want in that rack? And then how do you want to arrange these ports? And in this case, what we're saying, we've got a dual attached server. We want 1 NIC to go to each of the leafs in that rack. And you can define different types of racks for different purposes. And then you can use those rack design, or those stencils, I like to think of them, in a design. So here we have a new type of way to create an engineering template. You can see it's rack-based design. And we'll look at that, and we'll see there's a new area where I can select the type of rack. So this is a multi-chassis lag compute rack. And you can see I've selected 2 of those. And we get this really nice preview of what this would look like because we can navigate this through the visualization. So I've got 2 of those. And maybe I want to have a high-performance computing rack in this. And then let's say I want to use a 32 by 40 gig spine and have 2 spines. And then how many external router ports do I want? In this case, I want 4 ports of 40 gig. And where do I want to attach them? I can attach them to this multi-chassis lag. And then we have these really cool navigation capabilities through the visualization. And that's about as much sneak peek as I can show you guys. But 1.1 is turning out to be really, really awesome. There's a ton of people that are very excited about it because we're doing both rack-based design and this multi-chassis lag feature capability. So it really addresses a very broad set of folks out there. And that's the show.
Yeah. So to sort of sum up, I'll take a 1 minute sum up. When you take into consider, when you can actually build into an automation tool, the intentions of the person who designed a network, you can enable all kinds of things. You can do away with a lot of tedium. You can enable multiple, easily supporting, multiple vendors if you want, et cetera, and decoupling the switch choice from the network design. There's all kinds of things you can do, and all that stuff you put in, with all the different oversubscription parameters, these sort of generic nodes he described through the device maps, et cetera, all of that is basically communicating to an intelligent automation solution like this what your intentions are for the networks that you build. And there's one other thing. I want to go back to Amy's question. Amy asked, what if there's a particular switch you want for your network? And maybe you don't want to do multiple vendors. I should have answered it this way. You can still leverage this tool to eliminate all those tedious tasks, even if you're just using one vendor, even if you just want to use one switch, right? It's all those benefits are still available to you. So, that's your choice. If you just want to use, if you like those switches and that's what you want to do, again, it's about your choices, not Apstra's choices. That's
Thank
it.
you, guys.
So
Thank you.
one question we've seen a lot, and I don't know if this is coming in a future version that's going to be more suitable for mid-market type stuff, but today you guys are only like leaf spline, right?
Yes. So I'll say this, and when the cameras are off, we can have even Sasha talk to this a little bit. I can tell you there is nothing in the product that limits us to this kind of design. The way everything is modeled, we could support any arbitrary type of design. But as a strategic choice as a company, we decided to go with L3 clause in our 1.0 product. And I can tell you that not only will we support many other types of designs and topologies, but you will also be able to define your own in the future.
Yeah.
This makes sense from a potential market situation because it's the folks that are rolling out lots of racks where this is really the major financial win.
That's actually kind of the observation I started with, but I had a conversation with an industry analyst about this exact question where he said, well, everybody's moving to the cloud and, you network vendors are screwed and, software, et cetera. And I said, well, what's really going to happen? He said, well, we're going to move to this minimum viable data center. Like more and more stuff is going to move to the cloud, but there's always going to be some minimum viable set of infrastructure that cannot or will not move to the cloud. But managing that infrastructure is just as complex as if it was a really big set of infrastructure. I mean, I'm doing a 2x2 which is just as complex using an automation tool as, say, a 4x16. But if you're doing it manually, it's insanely complicated. So even if you have 2 racks of infrastructure, like say you're a high performance computing type of environment where you don't care about the network. You just want the network to be because you want to run algorithmic, AI stuff because we want driving cars, and that's important. They don't care about the network. They want to be able to define the network. They want to have people in their IT department that don't have to be a CCIE, but they want to have the benefit of a scalable clause design. This gives them capability that they never had possible. It's this, in my mind, it's sort of like saying containers were a thing for Google until Docker came out and made it ready for everybody. That kind of enablement is what we need in the networking world, whether it's us or somebody else, other types of technology. Making technology available to everybody in a superhuman way is the awesome thing that's happening in networking right now.
Well, it's also setting a standard, providing standard models rather than people doing everything as a one-off makes sense. And I think the skills just shift to different stuff because as stuff moves to various different clouds and some on-prem and so on, you've still got communication between the apps or the containers or whatever's out there. And that's where I see networking people really needing to apply their skills because networking people have been forced to go across stovepipes and talk these different languages. Whereas what I'm seeing, and this is maybe unfair to some other groups or stereotyping, but I don't see application developers or server people crossing that boundary very much.
Well, the reason is because they're not as smart as us.
There you go.